All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Actually, let me just do this so I don't get people confused. Let me. Okay, welcome guys to tonight's seller call. Obviously, I'm not Marco Kozlowski. He's out on he's in Viva Las Vegas for a speaking gig. I'm so jealous. Wish I was there too. So fun Vegas. If you have been, you know what I'm talking about. My name is Frank Lucho. I help out Marco on the back end, help students with their tickets and all that. Good to see you. Some shout outs. Hello, hello, hello. Actually, let me just make sure I have the right speaker on. I'm having problems with my speaker, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Otherwise, this will be very confusing for many. And that is definitely not my intention. So what I'm going to do is, let me close this. Never miss a call. Good. Anna, welcome, welcome. We got Nancy in the house from Innisfil, from Canada. And I'm from Toronto, so she's just in my backyard here. Oh, Jay, now you're in Las Vegas, so now you're rubbing it in too. All right. I know I was only there like I think we were there a month ago with myself, Marco, and Gabe. Had so much fun. Hello from Florida. Jealous there too. Actually, hopefully I'm going to make it down there in a few weeks. Kansas. Okay, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I didn't know what Marco wanted me to play. I had some seller calls that I was going to play of my own. They're a little bit, they're good. One of them is we did a seller call. I think, man, when I was in Orlando at Marco's place regarding my property. So I'm not going to do that one over again, obviously, because we already played it. Then I was going to find some neat. I was trying to find the best of seller calls and just do a compilation of like a few of them, like 3 or 4 of them. But I didn't have that much time to do that. But it would have been a cool idea. Maybe I will do that for a future project. But Marco's going to send me one. I think it's Harry's deal, actually, which is very interesting. I don't know if he's on here, Harry. Too many names to see here to scroll, but usually he is here. Welcome, Harry. So this is actually one of his. I think that's one he's sending me. So if it's not Harry, don't call me out on it if it's not you, but I believe it is. Let me just see if he sent it. If not, he did. Let me just play it though. So on this one, I don't know how many units actually it is. Maybe I'll get Harry to speak on it. Just Harry, if you can talk, let me find you. I believe this one he was going back and forth with the seller or the agent, and he was doing what's called a beg strategy. So basically, they were asking a lot more than what it's worth, and Harry did a fine job, in squeezing the guy, or not squeezing him, but going through the process. And then in the end, the guy says, "Just throw me out a number. I don't care if it's low and it's insulting. You can hurt my feelings. It's embarrassing, whatever." And then he did, because I think Harry just didn't give a shit no more. I didn't give a shit. He had a sprinkle of "I don't give a shit," and it's magical. It's like pixie dust, because sometimes when you do have a little sprinkle of "I don't give a shit," not a lot, you don't want to put a lot on it, but when you do, they actually gravitate to you. And so he threw out an offer. I think they were offering like 600,000, but you can tell the story. And he said, "Fuck it. It's going to be like, if I write you a check, it's going to be under 300,000 or 300,000." And they took it. Right? They took it. So obviously their motivation factor was very high. And sometimes, you know what, when you really don't want anything, or you're like, you know what, I'm just going to give it to him because he's not needy. So Harry was demonstrated that he's not needy. The moment that you're needy, that's when you're in trouble. Okay. So he wasn't needy. He's like, I don't have to buy that property. I just got to buy a property with the capital I have. So he did a fine job. So maybe I'll let him frame it, and then I'll play some of it. And Harry, I don't know if, can I let me do this. How do I unmute you though? That's what I don't know on this platform. Oh, I know what to do. I know what to do. Harry, what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can make you co. Let me see if I can make you a call. Hold on a second. So might as well hear from your perspective, Harry. Harry. There we go. Henry. Allowed to talk. Harry. Harry, can you talk? I didn't see your
Can you hear me?
text. Yes, awesome. All right, this is your deal, right? I think it's your deal. Hold on, let me see if it has your name. I didn't even check.
I think it's mine because I sent it to Marco.
Perfect. Oh, you just sent it right now to him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I'm glad you guys waited till the 9 o'clock hour. I
You know
was
how it
like, what am
goes.
I playing today? I'm trying to scramble, but you guys, all right. Okay, cool. So you want to frame this a little bit for everyone for us?
Yeah, it's a mobile home park. The asking was 625, 625,000 that is. And I went back and forth with the guy, and yeah, there was a pretty heavy sprinkling of I don't give a shit. So he's he said no, basically, like in the first go round, still compressed, but he said no. So I came back after 30 days, and at this time, he's getting a bit more desperate. Same, so I started off in the same place. I go, hey, I'm still, I'm still well below 500 with this, and so long story short, I made a really low offer. I didn't think it would get accepted, but it did. So at about basically 300, which is like less than half price.
That's 50% off, guys. So he had actually, yeah, it was 625, you said. So 300,000 in case he sprinkled I don't give a shit a little bit, right? And they accept it, but I think the call is about timeline. So like, okay, well, you know what? We'll take you 300,000. Which again, it is great for Harry, but at the same time, it also raises red flags, right? Because why would someone come down 50%? Like that's big motivation, or more than 50%. That's big motivation to come down that much. And this is all done by Harry. Did you do this all by email, or did you hop on the call once in a while?
Um, Mostly email, but I did get on a call as
Okay.
well when it started getting to the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Very good. And yeah, usually you could do most of this by email. And yeah, when time comes to it, you can definitely hop on a call. And Harry's been in the program for a while, so he knows the processes and the strategies used to get to this point. So now he's at this point. So they're like, hold on, it's like, you know what, we'll take you three. But now I think they wanted to know a little bit about timeline. I just got like a 10-second brief just before a seller call. So is this call about the timeline and about that 300,000 and the
Yeah, I
timeline to
think the
close?
call pretty much
Okay,
explains everything else.
awesome. So actually, I'll have you on here. Just mute yourself while I'm playing, and then maybe if I have any questions, I'm going to ask you. So let's play this first. So let me do. What am I doing? Let me do this. Let me go. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong one though. Let me get your proper one. Hold on. Pause. Hold on. And let me share my sound. And share. Let me go over here. You tell me if you guys. Oh no, I don't want to play that. I want to play this one.
Participants, if I'm correct.
Yes, and then
Okay.
Okay, so after dial pad, you should be.
Hello, this is Andrew.
Okay. Here we go.
Hey Andrew, how you doing? This is Harry. Finally got a hold of you. We just
Wait, can you guys hear? Okay. Harry, can you hear good on your end?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So if you can, then because I only hear my speakers, so all good. And I don't know where my chat is. Yeah, we can hear. Okay, okay, great. We can hear you. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Bueno, let's continue.
And yeah, I have underwriting on the call as well, and hope you had a great Memorial
Yeah, likewise.
weekend.
Likewise. Yes, I'm ready.
hey Andrew,
Okay.
this is
Hi, how
Marco.
you doing?
I'm well, man. You're
Mark.
you're not easy to get hold of. I thought I was busy.
Oh no, I May was insane. It was just a couple personal vacations, and then I was in ICSC in Las Vegas, company trip to Nashville. I had more flights in May than I did days in May where I woke up and fell asleep in Dallas. So I was running all over the place.
Harry, is this the broker or the seller?
This is the broker.
Okay, it's the broker. Is the seller on the call with you guys as well, or just the broker at this point?
It's just a broker.
Okay, very good. Okay. Someone had the question, and it was a good question. Again, the strategy won't really change whether it's the broker or the seller, because we follow a process and we say things with intent. It doesn't necessarily change whether we are speaking with the broker or the seller or both sometimes. And sometimes it is better to have both on the line, but sometimes some agents are very skeptical to have their seller on there or their client on there, because the client may get emotional and say something that the agent doesn't want you to say or concur to. So they tend to keep that fine line. But anyways, so there you go.
All over the place. I'm sorry about that. I know we tried to connect last week, or was it the week before? Yeah, I'm all yours right now.
No apology necessary. I know how that goes. It's either feast or famine with time. And hopefully they're all productive trips.
They were. This was. Yeah, it was. But I'm actually excited to finally be nailed down in Dallas for a little while.
Wow. I've never been excited to be nailed anywhere, but I'm glad that Yeah, I get it. No, that's great.
So you see, I know they're talking for what, just over 2 minutes right now. They're just breaking the ice. They're just causing the rapport. He's just, Marco's trying to be playful with the guy. I don't know if it's the first time that I know, Harry, you said you talked to them before. I don't know if it's the first time that Marco jumped on the call with you. So he's just breaking the ice. The first time he's just trying to, bring some humor into the conversation. So we're not stiff or anything like that. Just to make sure. And when you do that, the other person, you're basically, you want to feel like you're human, and you want to be open. So they're more receptive, and they're going to be, you want them to be okay with you, basically. Not because you want to be liked. It's just that we're human. Hey, you know what? We're just trying to get down the same path or get the same results. You want to sell, we want to buy. Let's see how we can make this happen and get to the closing table. So he's just adding a little bit of nice sprinkles, as opposed to Harry, where he added some I don't give a shit sprinkles, which he had to at that point. That was when it's warranted. So not that Harry did anything wrong. It's just right now he's just trying to warm up the conversation, and let's see where this leads us to.
So you're in Dallas, and I understand that the seller had a concern on, a time period to close. And I know Harry has tried to paint a picture of what the situation is. If you could do an old man a favor and just paint the picture for me so I understand it as well as Harry does, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, of course. So my clients are out of Shreveport, not too far away, and that is essentially where the property is. Between their commercial real estate investments, their residential real estate investments, their daughter, their owner user real estate, their own business. They're moving everything to Florida. So getting this off the books has been the need to do so has been ramped up quite a bit. I've had it listed since probably October, I want to say. Had a couple couple seller financing deals that I tried to put together that ultimately failed. Over the course of that time, Harry had every once in a while, touch base with me on the property as far as its availability for somewhat of, for lack of better terms, a fire sale.
I got to stop there for a second, and then maybe Harry, you want to chime in here for a bit. But he said since last October. I believe this happened now, wasn't it? Now or like?
Yeah, it's happened now, but I think he's going over the history of the property that's been.
He is, and he said that for some reason they had a problematic issue with this. He's been selling it. He's been trying to sell it since last October. That's a long time, guys. And he said he put some, maybe he had some tire kickers. He mentioned owner financing, and usually when there's owner financing involved, the people that do um, um, get into contracts with owner financing is maybe necessarily they don't have the means to close. And I'm suspecting that's what happened. I don't know if he's going to get into that. I'm suspecting that's what happened. So now what's happening is they want to move all their operations down to Florida. And I think this is the barrier that they're having, or maybe the last property, I'm not even sure. But remember what he said? He goes, Harry, once in a while we'll poke in and to see the availability of it. And that's Harry just checking back. Because Harry had, like we said, Harry's following the process, and he's just checking back and say, hey man, has this property sold? And the guy probably said, no, it's not, whatever, because he's just testing them right now. Because Harry's not interested, because he already said a response, say, hey, if we give you an offer, it's going to be well below what you're asking. If you're comfortable with that, that's great, but it's going to be embarrassing. I'd rather not even do that. So he went through the process of doing that, but he checked in, and we call it the hot potato rule. He checked in every 30 days from not maybe from October, from whenever he got introduced or whatever he found this property. So he did a good job on that, Harry. So that's good. So now the seller, since October to now, what happens over time? The seller tends to get a little bit more motivated depending on what their why is. So we know what their why is. They want to move all their operations, their whole family and everything down to Florida. And it sounds like he said, Harry, correct me if I'm wrong, he's owner operator, right?
Yeah, he's an owner operator, and he's looking to pack up and ship shop to Florida. And just going back to your point, like checking in, it pays. It pays that because some of the previous people, they couldn't perform. So every time I checked in, the motivation level went up on his behalf.
And that's where you get the deals. And I did the exact same thing on a recent acquisition. Now, I'm not saying his is going to take 2 years. Mine took 2 years, and I picked up a hotel. It was just going through the process, and the follow-up is in the fortune. And I know people get anxious and emotional, and they want a property, but he played this really well where he's getting like 50 cents on the dollar, because guess what? This seller ain't going anywhere because he's used to owner managing this property. So what that means is he's got no manager there. He can't split. If he splits, that property goes down to the shits. So he can't move to Florida. So I hope Harry poked, a little bit, put some salt on the wound or on the pain, and saying, hey man, the sooner we get to a number, the sooner we get to closing, the sooner you can get down to Florida. I always like to poke pain, and you should. And I did that even with Harry. I don't know if you, or maybe some of you guys recall, it was back in March, a seller call about my deal. The same thing is poking the pain. They wanted to move on to something else. I knew what that something else was, but the property was their obstacle. So now the time went by. He's in a good position. That's why motivation goes up as time goes by as well. So good. There's a question here from Gabriel. Is Harry was talking to the seller the whole time, following up? Did the follower pick up? It was kind of weird. Introducing Marco. No, it wouldn't be him introducing. If Harry was talking to, and again, Harry was communicating mostly by email, and we do most things by email. Only when we get close to, or we got to explain things, or we have we want to explain a solution, we usually hop on the phone. But it's not weird introducing Marco. He says, hey, he's one of my partners. I bounced it off him. We want to get on a call. So definitely not wrong with that, because maybe Harry's the one that got designated to phone all these people while we're sitting back. He drew the short straw. But anyways, let's continue. Okay.
I got a number from him a couple weeks ago, and I approached my client with that number, and he said, well, that's less than we bought it for. That's less than what it's appraised for. So if I'm going to be influenced to accept an offer at that price, I mean, I need to know the terms. If they're looking to do just like a standard 30 day due diligence, 30-day close, but they want it for $300K, that's not. I'm not gonna do that. I'd rather wait. But if they're all cash, buy it for $300,000, and we can close in a couple weeks, that's a different story. So
that's an interesting point. And so basically what Harry brings to the table is cash, and quick cash for that matter, and certainty of close. So he did a very good job communicating his financial dominance, and the seller, by all means, he's like, yeah, I'm not taking 300,000 because now he's got some past experiences where, prolonging the sale or prolonging the close. Because remember, taking that 300,000, it's speed for equity. So what Harry's bringing to the table is quick cash, but in exchange for that quick cash, you're gonna have to take a haircut. That's basically what he told him when he made that ridiculously low offer of 300,000 on a $625,000 asset. And now the guy just wants to know, okay, well, what are the terms here? You're not going to hold this hostage for another 60 days because I want to move down to Florida. So speed and cash does talk large volumes on this. Harry, did you want to add something to that, or?
Yeah, and I concur. Like, so he does want to move to Florida, and so for speed, he's like, it made him ponder, it made him think, maybe this is not such a bad thing. If I'm going to take a haircut, if you could perform fast, then we'll think of doing this.
Did you give him terms when you did your? And again, Harry is expecting a no. That's why he gave the low.
This was the funny part. I was definitely I threw it so my offer was so low. I definitely expected a no, but then it actually turned into a yes, which is kind of interesting.
But did you indicate any terms at all, or you just threw the number?
Yeah, there was terms. It was a fast closing. Basically, okay. Yeah.
Someone wants to know. I don't know if you recall off the head, but not that it really matters at this point. But do you know what the gross was on this?
It's about 100.
About 100K. Okay, so guys, about 100K, and the way we value, and this is commercial, right? It's worth about $1 million. I know each area has its different cap rate, but just for all shits and giggles, let's just say it's a 10 cap market. Sorry, 100K gross. What was who pays the utilities? Forgive me. Do you know what the net was on this?
The net, 49.
49. Okay, I was just gonna say, let's just say half. You keep half, right? So 49 or 50. So if it's making 50,000 NOI, so net operating income, that's after you pay your management, your maintenance, his taxes, insurance, and all that other crap. He'll be left over with about 50%. So he's left over with 50,000 or 49 in a 10 cap market. That's a $500,000 property. Now he was selling obviously a little bit more, but I bet you in that market, did he say it was in Freeport? Or is he trying to move to? Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's definitely not a 10 cap market there. It's probably like an 8 or a 7. So the property is worth a lot more. So if you get your 50,000 and divide it by 0.07, you'll get your figure. But he's like, if he can tie this up and get it to the finish line at 300,000, he's walking away like a bandit. And at the same time, the seller is willing to accept it. He's not trying to convince him of anything. That's the whole thing. He just threw it in numbers like, fuck it, this is what it is. Okay, so let's move it along.
Different story. So I relayed that to Harry. Before giving me an answer, Harry wanted me to get on the phone with you guys to really just, I guess the point here is to, I guess, restrict the transaction time as much as possible in order to get a deal done with you all. But I understand you guys need to understand what you're dealing with beforehand. So that's, I think, where we're at. If that's a decent.
I think great assessment. I appreciate that. Well, we can deploy the cash immediately if we're comfortable with the cash flow or the condition up to a point. Obviously, the more aggressive we are in the number, the more we can forgive condition or what we're faced with.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen the park or the condition of what's happening or what the collections are like, but if we have a fairly good understanding of what it is up front, we can deploy a team there pretty quickly. We're a small private equity fund, and we do about 1,500 units a year, fairly aggressive, and what we bring to the table is speed for equity, really. If there's a little bit of equity, a little bit of juice, then we can move quickly. And some have more prickly situations than others, or situations that are more complex, and we have a whole legal team that can handle that. And some are just pretty straightforward. So Do you have a?
So what's Marco doing here? Other than Harry, because I'm sure he knows what he's doing. What's Marco doing right here? So he said his piece. Saul is concerned on financial dominance, conveying experience, 100%. This is not our first rodeo. And with experience and conveying, remember, it's saying some of them were prickly, some of them were straightforward. So that experience factor provides the seller with what? Okay, the trust, yes. Not so much that he's not in a hurry. Is definitely showing his financial dominance, but he's saying, hey, we're working with he did mention private, confidence, comfort, certainty of closing. They will close, but we got to check out. We're not going to be stupid. Listen, wealthy people are not stupid about their money. They're most frugal people because they earned their fortune over time, and they're skeptical on everything, right? And you would be too. So they're skeptical. So it's that trust but verify that we always say. It's like, okay, I trust that it makes whatever $100,000. We just need to verify it. So let's see how many ugly hairs are there when we go into our DD or into our due diligence or inspection. He said we can get boots on the ground pretty quickly, which means we'll have our team out there. All right. We're going to check out and verify what the seller says. If everything checks out, we're game. We're good. And that's what he's saying. Some are prickly, some are going to be straightforward closing. So he's showing, hey man, we'll close as quickly as possible. We're tied into a private equity, which to the agent should think, okay, there's money, there's financial dominance there. He's given certainty, but only if the numbers check out, only if what the seller said is true. Okay. And that's the behavior of a true, wealthy person, right? They're not going to be stupid about their money. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. And Harry's not desperate. Harry didn't give a shit. I think he wanted him off his plate. He's like, whatever, man. He's like 300,000. And I think he was more stunned. And that's what the thing is. So it's like, I know Marcos says the same, but it's like, it's like when you go out to a bar, whatever. And if you find yourself needy or wanting that particular girl or that particular guy, they're going to think you're a creep or weird or whatever. But the moment you don't show interest or whatever, that's when they're interested in you, right? So it's that whole FOMO effect. It's that you show a little bit of a sprinkle. I don't give a shit, and people want what they can't have, and he played this beautiful where hopefully he can get it down to the finish line. So it's all part of due diligence. Harry's not desperate. Good. Okay, so let's continue on.
Do you have a sort of a scope on the, I guess, is he owner operator? Because that's sometimes a little bit more complex to get good books or how organized the seller is. Because if he's fairly, or she or shim, we never know these days, is organized, we can move on this pretty quickly. We don't need to have a due diligence time because we have the capital. So it's not a matter of being approved by a third party. It's our own money.
So I guess to provide some feedback over the first few things I've heard. I haven't visited the property, but I did pay a drone photographer quite a bit of money to have professional photos taken, so I can send those along. My clients are also local to the property, so I guess once they have an idea of really how we plan on progressing here, I'm sure they would be comfortable going to escort whoever you send out here around the park. As far as collections, no, we're heading into a new month here. I can have that question answered in the day, much less than that actually. I could text my client right now to see how the park performed from a collection standpoint in May. How were collections in May?
Like the last, is it
and then,
stable? Are there evictions? Just a quick landscape. We're not afraid. Right. We're not scared of anything. Like if no one's paying at all, it's going to be a different conversation than if everyone's paying, obviously. So we've seen it all. We've seen it.
Based on my memory, working this deal in the past, I admit I have slowed up a little bit. But based on my memory, it's been at its occupancy rate that I have advertised, which I believe is 100%, but there are 2 pads that could be expanded, but it's been at 100% occupancy for a long time, so that makes me think that collections are fine, but I've reached out to confirm. Quickly back to, it is ran by...
Actually, I got to make a point on that. Because just because it's 100% occupied, it doesn't mean that they're collecting 100%. And yes, you're right, Wendy. There's no upside. It can only go down from there. So that's already something that's in Marco's head and Harry's head. Is like, okay, well, if it's 100%, unless there's room to expand pads, which are like spots in a mobile home park, there's very little upside, other than maybe if they're below market, maybe you can improve some of the units. Again, we don't know the details, and we don't need to get into the whole details. Who owns what? Is it park owned, or is it just lot rents? Is it lease with options to buy? Again, that's not the conversation here. But just because it's 100% occupied, it doesn't mean they're collecting 100%. And I know that because I have a park, and my 100% occupied with 100% collection is close to $10,000 a month. And I can tell you, it's been a lot of months since I've reached that, because there's always going to be, again, not to put down mobile home parks. Mobile home parks is it's affordable living. You're going to get different clientele in those type of parks. I don't know what type of park is this. There's the class A, B, and C. I had a C, maybe minus. And yes, it was 100%. And if I collected 100% every single month for the 12 months, yes, I would be making, $120,000, right? In gross. But that wasn't the case in reality. So Marco asked specifically, what's the collections like? He went into against the occupancy, and that's fine. They're going to peel that onion back later on during due diligence. Say, oh, it's like, yeah, your rent roll or everything's 100%, but you're not collecting 100%. Because I think Marco did also mention right now, what's your evictions like? And we're okay with, we're okay with that. We can roll up our sleeves. We know how to evict. We're not scared of it. So he's just, again, always enforcing his experience, because he wants to bring that certainty, saying, hey, we're not going to get scared. But, if you're telling me that it's vacant or no one's paying, we're going to have a different conversation, because maybe we're not going to give the $300,000, or maybe we're going to put terms on there, or maybe we're going to have again, we can do so many things. You can get into a rental agreement, right? But again, the whole thing is he's basically trying to get a bird's eye view on what the scenario is. And sometimes, an agent's going to sell what they're going to sell. And only when you get into due diligence, you're going to find out, what he was saying. Sometimes we find perky deals, and, things, creep up, and there's a problem. And there's already a problem. He didn't answer his question if it's owner managed. I know it is, because he mentioned to it earlier. But you got to understand, depending on how he's managing this business, and it sounds like it's a family business. Listen, a lot of managers that own their own property and manage their own property, if they're managing to the point where he's very friendly with the tenants, they're like pals because they've been so many years together. It's going to be different when you bring in third-party management. There's going to be instability. There's going to be people that don't like change, period. And they may leave, or they may give a hard time, whatever. And then collections is going to be lower. So these are things that's going to be on the back of Harry's mind when he goes through this process. Okay.
It is ran by the landlords. However, they are very smart people. Husband's a lawyer. Wife is equally as sophisticated. Both are very knowledgeable when it comes to their park. Their books that they provided me are fairly clean, or are clean. There is not a management fee taken into account in their P&Ls. But yeah, it is ran by the landlord, ran well, and they are organized. So we're not talking to somebody, or we're not talking about somebody who just has papers all over the place, tough to get a hold of, etc. They're very, very smart people.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, if they have their ducks in a row, we can move very swiftly. So if speed is a concern for them, we can definitely make sure that they're taken care of as far as that need goes. Now, do they have if they're moving down to Florida and they're relocating, Harry was suggesting that there might be other assets as well. Because if we have a management team that has multiple, if there's more, this is very small on our scope. So if there's a lot more, we'd prefer to deploy more capital with one management team that can do all of it. Than just our costs are going to be significantly reduced, and our upside is going to be much better if that is the case. Right. So it'll help.
Yeah. So I may have been a little bit over my skis on that claim. They do have another undeveloped park fairly close to Houghton. It is zoned for manufactured housing, but it's definitely a development play. So as far as stabilized parks go, this is the only one. But like I said, they have that development value add play not too far away. And that's all the assets that they have in this. Yeah.
So Marco, I just wanted to make a point there. He mentioned this is kind of, I don't know, Harry, how many units is this?
This is it's 17.
17. So he was playing down the 17. It's really small. You know what? Or rather, if there's another property nearby and we're going to get management there, basically he's looking for an upside. He's like, you know what? We can reduce our costs significantly on management. If there's two parks side by side, they're very close. And he was, again, flexing his financial dominance, saying basically, hey, even if we buy this, we still got other capital left over. What else you got? Knowing that the seller wants to liquidate everything in that area so you can move down to into Florida. So that's the reason he was bringing that up. And also, again, flexing his financial dominance. And I think he's, again, I haven't heard this call. This is the first time I'm listening to it. I don't know if he's going to get into, I don't know if he's planting seeds right now, basically saying this small potatoes, we're grasping to see what upside's going to be here. Because like I said, 17 units, if it's 100%, even if you're getting market rent, there's going to be very little upside that Harry can go by, other than, inflation's out the window too, but that's going skyrocket. So maybe he can capitalize on that, but who knows? So anyways, I just wanted to mention that he's downplaying it, saying we played in bigger sandboxes than this one. All right. And even if we come to grips and come to a close on this, we still have plenty of capital. What else you got? So he wants to whet their appetite a little bit more. And that's the whole purpose of this phone call. So, because remember, the agent is the gatekeeper. All right. He's going to go back to the seller and say, you know what, you may want to close with these guys. You've been hanging out with this one for, since October. These guys sound like the real deal. They got some coin. I think they can, take the property off your hands so you can move down or whatever. So remember, so what you're saying to the agent, not everything's going to be funneled down to the seller. But if the agent's convinced that you can close and you can close quickly and it's cash and it's going to be, less headaches, he's going to advocate for you. And that's the whole point. Let's keep going.
That's all the assets that they have.
Gotcha.
In this. Yeah.
Fair enough. No, because we do apartment building, storage, assisted living facilities, hospitality. We have our fingers in a lot of different pies. So we're not just into parks. We do a lot of different asset classes. Okay. All right. So we'll I guess next steps. We can put an agreement together, put it your way with a very aggressive closing period and due diligence period that we can get a move on. We're past Labor Day now, so we won't have any surprises as far as holidays goes. So we can move as swiftly as the seller really chooses to. So
right. So as far as due diligence goes, I will tell you what I have.
So he said something really subtle there. He said we can close as fast as the seller is willing to close. So because again, when we give our agreements, we have specific agreements that Marco's been putting together and always evolving over the last 20 years. It's basically this. We have floating closing dates and we have floating inspection period dates. And it's you do this when this starts. And once we get all our DD documents that we requested, then we can go into closing. So it all depends how quickly and organized. And again, he said, the owner's a lawyer, and I forget what he said what the wife does, but very professional. So they have all their ducks in a row. And that's what Marco says. And as long as you have all your ducks in a row, and because Harry's timeline, when he gets the contracts out to them, the agreement, it's not going to start till he gets all the DD items received from the seller. So if they're organized, the quicker we get that, the quicker Harry can start his inspection, because Harry's not going to engage in his DD team or start doing investigations or start, getting inspectors out there and looking for managers. What for? If he didn't verify the income and expenses. So he's going to do that first, and he's only going to do that by getting the documents he needs to verify that. Okay. So there's more.
Find this. So, sorry. There's one email. So I've certificate of titles, MTC, the title history. I have P&Ls for 2020, full year 2021, full year 2020, partial year 2022. I believe I have 2020 somewhere as well, and then I've got the rent roll, which could be this rent roll is as of this is March rent roll. I could definitely get an updated one.
Yeah, I think
so that's what I have.
It sounds like their ducks are fairly in a row, so I don't see a problem in getting this done pretty quickly. Do you know what kind of time frame the seller is? What are the seller's needs so we can really tailor this to what they're looking for?
Well, I guess how I would approach this is they wanted to know if you guys would be buying it as is. I understand you haven't visited the park, so you don't know the type of condition it's in. I can guarantee you from a clean title perspective, from a financial perspective, and that can't be a guarantee, but I'm assuming it pencils based on the price that you're purchasing it at. The only thing that you really would need to check off is your own personal site visit to ensure that it's a clean, just habitable environment. So as quickly as you guys can get that done, will be what we're looking for, because I'm going to him now for the first time saying no. His name is Mark. This is not an this is not an as-is deal, which is going to frustrate him. But you know what? The only thing that they want to do is get out there, visit the park, make sure we're not advertising a shamble with a couple podunky tenants. Like we got a stabilized park that is up to their expectations, and then you guys waiving your due diligence shortly after that, and the time it takes to get clear title. But that is a condition of close.
Right.
So shortly after your site visit. So really, you guys tell me, how quickly could you guys get out there to just, or send somebody out there to make sure it's up to your standard. After that, I mean, I don't see how it would take more than a couple days to review the financials and the title.
Well, if we were a two-person operation and we had nothing to do, then it would only take 2 days. So I don't want to give you a timeline based on someone else's schedule. That would be irresponsible of me. But I can definitely.
So I guess that would be my recommendation.
Right.
Is to talk to that person and then submit based on that.
Exactly. Now, just so you know, we never retrade. So once we agree, if his frustration is around, well, is it really going to happen? We've seen, like I said, the with this number, there's going to be a lot of forgiveness, and we're not going to go back and say, hey, we expected X, Y, and Z. So it's as close to as is as possible. But whether it's as is or not, we can. If it makes them feel warm and fuzzy to put in as is, it won't really matter, because our due diligence, once it's expired, we're going to in most cases, we close before our due diligence period is actually done, because our money in our account is not making us any money. So our cash is decaying as time goes on. So we have to use it, right? So we have a different problem than most that want the longest time possible to get financing, where we're looking to get rid of our cash as quickly as possible. But if our due diligence is, let's say, I'm just going to toss a number out, 17 days, let's say. And in day 10, we see, and this is, like you said, there's only one tenant, and there's actually more teeth in someone's head than tenants, which we've seen, and it's a cracked den, then we're out, unless it's which we've bought cracked dens to turn around, but the price was right to accommodate that. So, there's a lot of things that we can do, but just know that whatever we do, we stick to, and we want to do this as quickly as possible. We're not looking to drag this out forever at all.
Have you? That sounds great. I'm happy we're having this call. I'm 90% sure I sent these due diligence documents to Harry. Did you ever receive those?
I haven't until we had this call. We go through to buy the number.
But
of
you have them in hand, correct?
I will. They're most likely in the folder that Harry prepared prior to the call.
Yeah.
But I don't usually deep dive into things until we have this conversation when we're pretty damn close. Because just in the interest of time, we have probably 1,000 files on my desk right now that are in a.
So again, Marco was just going through. He wanted some kind of reassurances from Harry and Marco that this is going to be done swiftly, or he wanted someone to come out and see the property. Maybe that's the reason in the past that the sellers that did come with owner financing, whatever, didn't buy it, only because maybe the park is not up to snuff, and maybe it is a crack den. I don't know. And it can possibly very well be. So Marco was very vague on his answer, and the reason being is because he doesn't want to say anything that's going to come back and bite him in the ass. So he's like, listen, I don't know. If once we get out there, if we find there's no tenants or it's a crack den, we're okay with it. It's just going to be a different number because there's going to be more effort into it. I know when I got my first park, it was a 54 spot park, and it was making money. Not as much as what they said on the rent roll, of course, but I found that out later. But a lot of them were drug dealers and prostitutes, and we had to evict most of the park. And my wife was in charge of that, and she evicted like 70% of the park. And the reason she did that is because we had to rebrand, because no one wanted to step foot in that park. So you weren't attracting the people that want to be there and they can afford to be there because they want to be around that crowd. It's the environment, right? So and that's why Marco's not leading or giving false promises. He's just like, hey man, let me just check it out first. And apparently this guy sent some documents to Harry. Whether Harry looked at them or not, he probably didn't. He's like, you know what? Why would you look at and waste time looking at DD documents and rent rolls and profit and loss statements when you haven't even landed on a number? So Harry, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you even bother looking at those things?
Not really.
No. Maybe he glanced at one or two of them, but he's not going to deep dive and go down the rabbit hole on that, because what's the use? If you haven't landed on a number, if you haven't had an agreement yet, he can send them whatever he wants. You're not going to look at it, right? Now that he does, hopefully he can put pen to paper and get an agreement out there and get the seller to sign on the terms. So let's see what happens. We got just a couple of minutes here left.
Probably 1,000 files on my desk right now that are in a Dropbox folder, and if I looked at all of them, I wouldn't get anything done. So I just we're close enough where now I can go into the file and really start doing some.
There you go.
Right.
Just for time optimization purposes. And I noticed earlier you said you went over your skis, so I don't know if you're from the north originally, but that's not something someone from Dallas would ever say. So I don't know if you're.
Yeah, we grew up skiing a lot in Utah. My family.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a little bit over my tips, as they might say, or over your ski.
Yep. No. It's I haven't heard that expression since I was a kid. I'm like, you must be from a place that skis, because
California. I'm from Southern California.
Gotcha.
Going to Utah.
Fair enough. All right, I'll leave that alone. All right, man. So I'll well, I think I understand where the seller's coming from, and I don't know if this other undeveloped land, if they want to keep it or not, but I don't know if there's something that you can send over on that. I
would love to send you something over on that. And no, they do not want to keep it. But as far as getting information from them, they've been very busy as well. All I know is it's in Vivian, Louisiana, off of Old Atlanta Highway. Let's just put a pin in that. I'm motivated. They're motivated. I'm motivated. Between the two of us being super busy, I haven't been able to dig through that lead very much to this point. But it's certainly on our radar. And anybody, if you're in position on this deal as far as under contract and knowing you're going to close, I'm sure that they'll sell it to you.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
All
right, man. So right, we'll circle back.
Yeah, I have a text out to my client as far as collections and this past month, but I'll wait for you and I'll forward whatever response I get from my client to Harry.
Sounds good, man. Have a good one.
All righty. So, Harry, did you end up, I know this is recent, did you end up following up or did you end up getting it tied up yet or you're still in the works on that?
Yeah, sent the agreement. So
All right.
and so waiting to hear back from them in regards to that. And I know I saw some questions about upside on this, so I'll address those as well. Rents are going up; they're being increased in July, and there's also an undeveloped acre attached to this park. I'm not talking about the developmental separate land, so there's an extra acre on this one too. So I think that's an upside as well.
There you go. Yeah, and of course you have to put infrastructure in there and all that. But again, it's if it could potentially be a great upside depending if the demand is high there. If he said, I think he did say historically it's 100%. So I would assume it's in a high rental demand area, which is phenomenal because everyone's looking for affordable rent now, which is very hard to find. I just increased all my rents, even on my single families, and some of my tenants were really shocked on high, but everything's been going up. Insurance has been going up. Everything's been going up, and especially in the South where I have a lot of my properties, a lot of people are migrating there, and you can't find rentals. They're very difficult to find, and that's going to be a good situation to be in, especially if this one's full already, Harry. Damn, you could definitely increase the rents for sure because everything with inflation. Everything's going up like crazy. So, but I just don't want Harry's not going to rely on inflation and raising the rents. He's got this other lot. Maybe he can squeeze a deal on that one too. Because like I said, they want to get out and they want to liquidate their assets. So kudos to you, Harry, for following process. And you know what? Good luck. And like I said, even if it doesn't come to fruition, Harry's not, again, does he want a deal? Absolutely. But he's hungry for this particular one, whatever. It's whatever comes across this table where the numbers make sense and where it makes sense to divest his efforts and his money at. And well, not his money. He's going to borrow the money for it, but someone else's money for that matter. So congrats to Harry. Harry, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it for giving me some feedback on this. Like I said, I just got this like at 9:00 as soon as I started this. So I thank you
Definitely,
for joining me.
Great call, Frank, as always. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, anyways, our time is up because I got another session. I'm going like it's a 3 in a row here. So I got another thing to attend to at 10:00. So guys, stay tuned next week. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for joining me. Adios. Bye-bye.
As a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.